The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
The following is a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here's your host, GoPowerCat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to a PowerCat COVID-19 Hunkered Down podcast from our isolated studios in which I'm sharing air with young people. Tim Fitzgerald, Riley Gates, Zach Carlson, WTC Gig-Powered Studios, and we are taking precautions in case you're worried. We have taken precautions. Everything's been wiped down in the studio, and Riley is in a full suit. Not like a chemical suit, not like one of those antibacterial suits. He's like in a tuxedo. We couldn't afford the other suit, so we just wore a tuxedo to keep. Because for me, I don't know about you guys, viruses seem less formal, and I don't think they'd like someone in a tuxedo.
Look good, feel good, right?
Yeah. Zach's currently only wearing plastic. It's very odd, but not like plastic clothing. He's just got plastic bags taped to him. I've told him it's ineffective.
It's not good for radio.
It's not good to be in the same studio. For now, we are in the same studio. I'm confident these guys are probably not infected.
I hope.
I'm confident that probably you're not. But I've instructed them to not cough or sneeze directly on me, unlike they do normally.
Look, I've just been trying to build your immune system in the past.
I'm not a fan of these changes.
The workers' union is formally.
We typically high five and have prolonged hugs at the end of the show. That, too, has been postponed. COVID-19 is ruining our show.
I'm not opposed to those changes.
We need a new CBA, Fitz.
For a lot of reasons.
Collective, never mind. Man, what a weird time in which we live. We're going to continue to podcast. I posted something up on the message boards or down on the message boards or across on the message boards. Where are the message boards? What
on our
website. On the message boards.
Over at the message boards.
Over there. We're going to continue to do these. And honestly, folks, I don't care about these guys. it's survival of the fattest, and I am the fattest, and I will be at home doing this podcast in the future if necessary, and they will be in here together, germing each other up.
Because if I have the understanding right, we are immune.
You're not really immune. You just won't
That was
really
a joke.
feel it. And then you'll, say, hey, boss, and like kiss me on the lips, and I'll be dead. That too
This
is
is
now
taking a turn.
Now not allowed in the office. No kissing of your employer on the lips.
We're not signing Tom Brady.
Oh, God.
no.
Can
Oh,
confirm.
God. He's a lip kisser, isn't he? God, that's so weird. I know it's your child, but no.
I don't know, man.
I just think I think eventually at some point the child's holding an axe while on his fourth murder, and then it realizes, oh, yeah, Dad kissed me on the lips when I was little. That's what happened. If you kiss your children on your lips, I apologize. But stop doing that for at least the near future.
We'd better move on before this gets weird.
I think we're already into weird, but that's okay. We have some questions about K-State sports. We'll eventually run out of questions about K-State sports because there is no K-State sports. There is no sports. In fact, sports is a carrier. If you watch a rerun of sports, you might get the coronavirus. I saw some really compelling sports footage. My sister, my dear loving sister, who is a medical care professional, sent me a great sports video that I actually think would be good content. People would bet on it. Someone built a 300-foot marble race course. It was awesome. It was like in dirt, but it was of course downhill, and then they had you could take the shortcut or the long cut, and there was 30 marbles. All of them had a different color name, and they were racing downhill.
Yeah, a few years ago there was a YouTube channel that did the Marble Olympics. It was like a marble course.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I think this is something Vegas needs to endorse and offer as a gambling option. Marble races. You dump them all at the top, they all race down the hill, and someone win places and shows. Hell, they cancel the Kentucky Derby. Why not have it? It could be the Beloit Derby.
We have one of those already.
You could have marble races in Beloit nationally televised.
Before it.
Yeah. We're not going to do that at Go Power Cat. We will continue to cover K-State as best we can. D. Scott Fritchen is writing things that I don't even know how he's coming up with the content, but it's actually good stuff. Ryan Wallace is on top of it. You're cranking. Eventually, I expect you just to walk off and say, I'm done with this. I'm just done. Zach is going to put out clips from the Power Chats and or marble races for the site.
I'm told that Zach will be working exclusively with athletes to get highlights postseason.
I don't know what that means.
He will record them in their own home
Oh,
as they battle the coronavirus.
that's kind of compelling content.
Actually, it'd be great content. I
Hey,
bet.
Skyler, can you go throw some balls out in your backyard with a camera on a tripod, kind of like Uncle Rico and Napoleon Dynamite?
I have to admit, I'm a little worried about the basketball players getting coronavirus because they didn't beat much this season. Sorry. They won their last two games. I'm sorry.
Woo! From the top rope.
Sorry. If you're wondering why I'm still talking about stuff, is because there weren't a lot of questions.
Yeah.
There's not anything going on, but we're going to get into it. We're sponsored by the Fridge, who, by the way, is about to close. Not
think.
permanently, just probably shut down for a while because
I'm happy to say I patronized the Fridge yesterday in large quantity.
Man, Riley actually texted me, make sure you get your booze because I think the Fridge is going to close. I'm like, I think I'm good.
I got friends in the liquor business who may or may not have heard it from other people.
Our other sponsors, Tanner's, I think they're down to carry out. I think everyone is. I haven't
Really?
seen from Tanner's. I know a couple other significant, I'll just say it, So Long and Lucha are carry out only.
Is Tanner's going to offer me a free 6-pack of Busch Light like a restaurant in Iowa is doing with my carry-out order? Because if that's the case, I'll eat Tanner's every night.
They're giving away Busch Light
6-pack of Busch Light with every to-go order.
Is that legal in Kansas? I don't think so.
I don't think that's legal.
Anywhere.
I don't think a lot of things are normal right now, though, in Kansas.
Not that it's illegal to give away, beer with your order in Iowa. Just Busch Light should be forbidden from it.
I had second down.
Busch.
You want this to go?
Crack one open for me, please.
Get your lid in a straw.
I saw Johnny's in Kansas City's giving a $5 gift card.
Think about that. You eat there 4 times. You're good to go. You get a free meal.
Oh, man. So I'm leaving Kansas City on Thursday, and I'm like, I got to get food. I hadn't eaten in 20 hours. Look at me. Look at me, guys. I'm wasted away. And I needed food, and Riley's like, just go through a drive-thru. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't know who's working in that kitchen. So I made the sacrifice, and I went and tested Jack Stack in the Freight House district to make sure it was okay. And, folks, it was okay. And I got 6 pounds of meat to go. So I'm fine for at least a few more days.
That is quarantine prep at its finest.
Unfortunately, I think my balance between smoked meats and toilet paper is off, and I'm a little bit worried about it.
Yikes.
But you don't want to get out of balance one direction. And I'm just going to leave that to your imagination. As we move on to your questions from Wabash Station, go to the fridge when they're open, go to Tanner's and get food and carry it out. I mean, maybe you can ask to carry Charlie out, too. Maybe you can just take him home, and he'll entertain the kids. I don't know.
That's creepy.
Yeah, actually, I think it is. Let's move on to your questions. Here we go.
From the Ginth, will all the sports teams still work out together in small groups, etc., to stay in shape? How will all of that work?
No.
They're not here. They're not here, I don't think.
Basketball teams, except for Bruce told John Kurtz yesterday in an interview that only 2 basketball players are left here in town. So they're all gone. Football team's gone. Women's basketball team's gone.
Maybe they live in an apartment, but the dorms are closed. And yeah, it's oddly, this is about the safest place to be because there's nobody in town. A big chunk of the population just isn't here. It's very strange. It's like that little bit of summer between the end of the semester and the start of summer school, which is now much more popular when you realize the students are all gone. We have that right now.
Except we can't enjoy the city.
But this, honest to God, this is the first time. Well, I had to go Sunday to my TV show and then to the oncologist on Monday. I'm okay. Don't worry about it. I'm remarkably healthy for a fat old guy and with cancer. And I came back and I realized this is it. This is, as a week goes, this will typically be the only time I venture out of the house because I'm not supposed to very often. So we got to keep this environment sterile and clean, guys. And I know the kind of nonsense you do. The players aren't here. The players aren't around. I retweeted the daily workout of day 1 from the Pitt strength coach. I don't know if it was football or basketball. He's putting up his workouts on Twitter for everyone to see.
Really?
It's not just for his athletes. You can go do them. And so his warm-up was a series of hopping. I can't remember what he called them, but they were just like short hops, forward, backwards, sideways, other ways. And I realized, well, that's it. I couldn't do that. I'm pretty shot right there.
I'm interested to see if that would disturb the people in my apartment complex.
Screw them.
So we got to live on the ground floor.
Screw them.
I wonder when they will come back, though. I mean, look, spring football isn't canceled yet. It's about to be canceled, I'm sure.
I would imagine this guy keep kicking the can down the road. Life will resume at some point. You're hopeful that your athletes stay in shape. I would imagine if things kind of clear up over the summer, if we do get the good fortune of the warm weather burning off the virus, then I imagine they'll just have extra practices at the start of fall camp. That's what the NCAA or the conference will do.
I'm interested to see when they return, though.
Yeah. But, they are kind of on their own staying in shape. So some guys will be really good about it, and other guys will be at Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Pete Hughes, Boston, Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Next question from TDE67. I think this is the first time you've asked a question on the podcast.
No, it's
What was his old name?
Or
now I can't remember.
Okay.
T. Sywert, maybe?
TDE 67 was a very prominent poster on the old site.
And then in his thread, he said, "Can you change my nickname to this?"
Okay.
And what's fascinating, when you change someone's nickname, it changes it all through. So if he posted 2 years ago, it's now TD67. So it really does change your identity. It's kind of like getting a new passport. Go ahead.
Witness protection?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a bright side to the basketball season ending the way it did for K-State?
Well, I won't say that coronavirus cancellation was a good thing for K-State.
But they won.
I mean,
They
you
won
didn't
their
get
last
waxed by
game.
Baylor.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks for everyone else, but K-State wasn't going anywhere unless they won in Kansas City, and I think we all know that wasn't happening. So they won their final game for the first time since 71.
I mean, let me put it this way. I'm not calling you all stupid, but you are. Well, there's a lot of people out there right now saying, oh, well, maybe they would have beaten Baylor. Fair enough. You get to have that discussion. I mean, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have beaten Baylor, but we're having that discussion. We're talking about it.
Riley,
people are more optimistic about K-State.
Let's not be so emphatic. It's entirely possible they would have beaten Baylor. Not entirely. It was within the realm of imagination they would have beaten Baylor, but then they would have had to beaten someone else, and then they would have had to beaten someone else, and that wasn't going to happen.
I don't think they would have beaten Baylor. So I'm saying.
I agree with you on that, but I'm not emphatically saying it wouldn't happen.
Riley, you just made a very good argument for UCF national champions.
No. Don't even get me started. I don't know. It does, ending on 2 wins, it does let you have a little bit better taste in your mouth right now as a fan. You go into next year a little bit more optimistic, I guess.
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
You scoffed?
I scoffed.
You should have just said the word scoff. I'm trying to be positive here.
I know they didn't end on a 20-point defeat, and guys like me weren't able to say, "Well, that sums it up," because I would have. You know me. You all know me. I would have said it. They won. They won their final game. In a really incredibly crappy season, that was a good thing. They won their final game, and it sucks for everyone that it kind of feels like. You never broke up with your girlfriend. She just moved. Didn't tell you. And then she's gone. That's the way the season ended.
That's a good way of putting it.
Wow. Are you hurt a little bit?
I'm hurt just thinking about it. Thinking like if I was 17 and in love and my girlfriend just moved, like her parents just moved without anyone knowing. And it's gone. Nothing you can do.
From Fervent Purple, should the NCAA crown a basketball champion this season or simply not have one at all? If yes, how should they do it?
I'm opposed to it because it would be Kansas. If it wasn't Kansas, I'd be more open to the idea.
If it was Kansas State, I would be opposed to the idea.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's stupid. There's a reason we went away from the Helms poll.
Well, the Helms poll was never a real thing. The Helms poll was created later.
It's not you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we don't use it.
Yeah, it's not going to stop Kansas from claiming the title. They will. They've done it before with the Helms poll. They'll get some guy named Jesse Helms. I think's dead. But anyhow, they'll get him to come out with his own poll. He'll have his family all vote, all of them, and there's like 750 of them, and they'll have a poll and they'll all vote for Kansas, and Kansas can win the national championship. Yay!
Look, it's one thing to decide a national champion, to hand out a trophy in college football based on the final AP poll or whatever. That's a thing that happens. The AP's national champion. But the NCAA tournament was created in order to have teams win these games. If we didn't want to go by that system, we wouldn't have it in place. We would have a national championship game, not an NCAA tournament. We didn't go through that. It's like I said to somebody, and Jesse Newell from the Kansas City Star, really good at what he does. Terrible opinion that KU should honor this season in some way, recognize it with a banner or something like that.
It's ideal for KU because they get to claim something with not having the opportunity of actually screwing it up on the court, which they typically do.
Kansas was the best team in the country at the moment. There's a chance they would have ripped through every single opponent in their path and cut down the nets.
But let me pause. When has that happened in the NCAA tournament?
And then there's a chance that Ali Farouk Manesh and you and I would have beaten them in the second round.
He loves saying that name.
So don't sit here, KU fans, and I know I'm preaching to K-State fans, so it's not maybe as...
It's easy to be tough when they're not listening.
I'll say it to their face, too. Okay. It's stupid, and anybody that claims a national championship from this season is a joke.
This is a sport where historically everything's decided on the court. If it's not decided on the court, it didn't happen. Now, a few years ago in football, when you really didn't decide it on the field, I mean, there wasn't a playoff, and you had, I'm talking before you even picked two teams. Before you just had a bunch of bowl games. At the end of the bowl games, you then hypothetically pick someone who was the best team, and once in a while the two polls would have different champions, and that was screwed up. That was taking place in football. I could see it happen. You could hypothetically pick someone if that's what you were doing at the end of the year. This is not. This sport, like most, is decided on the field in combat. Is it combat? Competition. We'll go with competition. Combat seems a little violent.
It's aggressive.
It would make it a more entertaining sport if it was actual combat, but it's competition. KU didn't win the competition. They didn't win the 6 games to claim a national championship. Thus, they do not get to claim they are national champions. Kansas State, on the other hand, did win its final game, the final Big 12 game of the season. Hang that banner.
From Adam K63, is the NCAA going too far in canceling the spring sports championships in March? Would it have been better to just suspend and review the situation once a month?
Yeah, but then you haven't played most of the season. How are you going to have the championships?
Yeah, I mean, that's another scenario. Got to be really careful with this here, because I had an opinion this morning on a radio show, and the host went back at me.
You deserved it. What was it? Share it.
I mean, if you take me back to last Thursday, and there's a difference between what has it been, 5 days since they canceled the NCAA tournament. We have learned a lot more information.
Right.
And I still stand by my opinion on Thursday that canceling the NCAA tournament was premature. I thought on Thursday they should have postponed it, revisited it in a few weeks, and if we're still in a bad situation, fine, cancel it. But we've gotten so much more information in the last 5 days.
Yeah, if they had postponed last week and said, we're going to hold off for a couple weeks on the NCAA tournament, but maybe we can do 16 teams, that'd have been cool. But I think we all realize at this point now they would have canceled.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't take all the information you know now and apply it to a week ago when we didn't know all this information. Just don't be that person, and there's a lot of you out there.
And so let's just, let's continue to play a hypothetical game. In a week and a half, somehow this is all blown over and everything's going to be okay. Yeah, we're going to sit here and we're going to say we canceled those spring championships way too early. But I think we're also sitting here knowing the information we know now, and we're saying sure, we can postpone it until April, but it's just going to be the same situation. President Trump yesterday said that they were considering things not being normal until June or July. I mean, if they're thinking it's going to be that drastic, things aren't going to be changed on April 1st, as sad as it is. That's why spring football is still unexplainable how that's not canceled yet.
I think they just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's bad. No matter what happens, if we avoid a widespread outbreak, one side will be able to say, well, that was all unnecessary because nothing happened. And the other side will be able to say, well, look, we saved everyone by not having a widespread outbreak. So we're just going to keep bickering. We're good at that in the United States. We're good at bickering back and forth and just having meltdowns. Go on, ask another question, Zach. Sorry, I had a meltdown.
Jeez.
God, I'm sorry I got wound up.
From D. Brimmer 73, do you see any reason to keep ESPN Plus before this flu blows over?
I don't. Not right now.
I mean,
depends on what you want to watch. Do you want to watch live sports? Then cancel. There's no live sports. Do you want to watch Peyton's Places and 30 for 30s?
There's a million things on ESPN Plus
you can watch. There's plenty of content on there.
I'm not as interested in those. I mean, I might watch some 30 for 30s. I see that. My thing is I've got it as the bundle. I've got Disney and Hulu and ESPN Plus, so I'm not it seems silly to peel that off and cancel it.
I'll put it this way. If you're tight strapped for cash, little budgets are a little bit tight, yeah, go ahead and cancel it. But
I also bought it for a full year. So
if you have a job, steady income, and you can't afford $5 a month, it just seems like a hassle to cancel it if you're going to turn around and re-up, I guess. I don't know. I like 30 for 30s. I watched Peyton's Places.
I need to get into the 30s for 30s, and probably Peyton Place. I like his sense of humor, so maybe I should do that. I'm too busy watching things on Netflix about murdering a child. It was horrible. I got to change the channel.
But that's the kind of stuff you watch.
It was horrible. It was no. Okay. He was 8 years old. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
From Polycat, last question of the first half.
Okay, good.
Do you think it is irresponsible how little seem to be taking this pandemic seriously?
Okay, I'm gonna take this. I got to admit that if I was 20-something and I was in college, I'd probably have the same opinion. And I think as people get more and more exposure, it begins to connect. It takes a little more information to connect all the dots and make people realize that everything's connected, and if you get it, you may not know you have it, and you might hand it off to someone, and they might hand it off to an entire nursing home. And you may not realize it, but you just killed 14 grandparents. Honestly, I mean, that's what's scary about it. You know, and people keep trying. I'm sick of people trying to make this political because I see it New York's still functioning, at least as of the other day. Nothing was canceled in New York. Now probably it is now after the government has really said shut things down. But it's just not enough people have realized that this spreads a lot easier than the flu and is much more deadly for certain segments of the population. It seems like the flu, and it's probably not even as bad as the flu for a lot of people, and that's what makes it hard to make them understand. But it's wiping out big swaths of the older generation in Italy. And now France is closing down. Germany's getting ready to. Britain's bracing for it. I saw one thing that really hit home. It was a paper, I don't know, it was from Milan or whatever, and the guy turned the page of the obit page for a couple Sundays ago and then turned 9 pages of obits for this Sunday. So, yeah, you know, it doesn't kill as many as the flu. It doesn't do this. If the death rate in your area jumped by 9 times what it was 2 weeks ago, when there was so much death, you couldn't put the people in the ground. You couldn't handle the funerals or the cremations. I think it would strike home. People are getting there. It's taking a little bit. And when you have none in your area, you tend to think it's not in the bar, not realizing that it is probably in your area. The person who has it or the people who have it just don't know it. It's taken a while for me to get there, and I have cancer. It's taken a while for me to grasp how severe this could be, even though it isn't right now. And maybe you can say that about other things that have happened, but this is what we've got right now. I mean, we just don't know. But the computer modeling, when they spit it out, it can be really bad if we let it go. It looks awful.
Well, and I think in addition to that, it's kind of tougher for some people kind of like our age, for example, Zach and I's age, it's even tougher on top of the things you said to wrap your mind around, especially when you're sitting here and if you're younger, you got a good immune system or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I know it could be bad, but it's tough to even think about, even if you get it as a younger person with a better immune system, you might not be as in bad shape as somebody else that's older with a weaker one, because it's not as serious to you. And I don't even really blame people if that's the thought process in their head. I don't really consider them bad people for thinking that. I mean, it's tough to wrap your head around when it's not real for you. It is what it is. I mean, I think we'll all get there eventually and we'll kind of understand it, but it's just kind of a weird time, man. It's really weird.
Never been anything like this in any of our lifetimes.
The Washington Post had a good article the other day showing how things spread, and if you take different instances of social distancing and how you can prevent and kick things down the road.
Was that the dots?
That was the dots. Yeah. It was a very good article. It didn't even really talk about coronavirus. It kind of made up its own, even more infectious virus, but they used a bunch of dots, basically hitting each other and colliding with each other,
there
showing
was 4 different computer models with different social distancing. It was fascinating.
Yeah. But it's really interesting to see that, but also knowing, yes, you may not have it. You may not be showing symptoms if you do have it. But if everybody just kind of stays in place for a couple weeks, even a week, it helps.
Most people show signs within 5 days. So 1 week, most people will have it at home instead of bumping into other dots.
Yeah. And I know it sucks staying at home all the time, but it really is critical to limit your movements, stay home, don't talk to other people for a bit.
What if I have a roommate, Zach?
Who's sketchy? He's sketchy.
Frankly, he is.
He's really sketchy. I think we all that know him know he's sketchy.
Knock him off.
Ooh.
I won't say what I was about to say.
We should have probably not put that on a podcast. It's probably a bad idea. That's the first half of the podcast. We'll be back on the other half with some stuff that doesn't deal with viruses. It's herpes in the second half. Sorry, that's a virus too. Sorry. We're going to take a break.
Stay locked in. The PowerCat podcast will be right back.
When the whole family comes together to watch the game, nobody wants to miss a second of the action to run to the grocery store. With Instacart, you can get all your weekly groceries in as fast as an hour. Less time shopping means more game time. Let's go. Visit instacart.com to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. $10 minimum per order. Additional terms apply.
So I'm a father of one. I gotta find a babysitter. I found Care.com and I was blown away. Through the platform, I was able to find local and experienced candidates along with their reviews and rates, which were way more affordable than I anticipated. Care.com really put me at ease knowing that they were all required to go through a background check. If you're like me and you need to find someone reliable for your childcare necessities, check out Care.com. Find the ideal sitters for your childcare needs.
We now send it back to Fitz in the WTC gig-powered studios.
Welcome back to the PowerCat podcast. Live. Well, we're live. Recorded here in Manhattan, Kansas in the WTC gig-powered studios. We're sponsored by The Fridge. Go stand inside the fridge, at the fridge, and you will probably be safe from the coronavirus, although you'll be really cold. They won't let you either. They won't let you do it. I tried it once, and they told me to leave. Go to the fridge. Might be closed right now. Might be closed for the near future. But life will continue, and we should all return to the fridge when that happens.
Technically, the fridge might be a pharmacy if you want to think about it.
I know. Yeah, but really, the only thing that will help you is you go buy like grain alcohol, because you need to be at least 120 proof to get the job done with cleaning.
That's fair.
60%.
I bought enough that I think even if this isolation thing is longer than we're anticipating, I should be good.
So
however,
what you're saying is one serving of Crown is 60 proof, but you're going to have 2, and thus it'll be 120 proof.
I was just saying ounces that I have, but
I'm not good at math.
I also am like a little afraid that, like, what if they're shut down for 2 months?
Come to my house. I've got booze. I have a full bar. I don't have a great selection of beers.
I'll just roll the dice and go to some sports bar somewhere.
If they're open.
Now, when it opens back up, go to the high-low. It'll still be decorated for Christmas, so it'll feel like this crap never happened. I'm sure everyone's got to close.
I just hadn't seen it.
Everyone's closing. I just saw that Annie Mae's is going to close. I mean, seriously, what could go wrong? Going downstairs in a poorly ventilated bar that has very close quarters. I don't know what could go wrong with that.
Well, can't think of one thing.
Annie Mae's is closed for the moment. I am concerned some places won't ever open back up because this is tough on small business.
Just when we were about to get our Brahms. Just kidding.
We've got to protect ourselves from the Brahms.
I'm glad Annie Mae's doesn't pay us, because I'd take issue with saying somebody them say, I can't talk.
You got that virus?
Today, Junior.
Somebody's saying that we were poorly ventilated.
I've gone to that bar for a lot of years.
Yeah.
It's perfect in tornadoes. Probably not so much
It's just
in a pandemic.
constructive criticism.
You're right. I would go there.
I've
in a
touched
tornado.
a lot of strangers by accident inside Annie Mae's just because the bathroom's at the end of a very narrow walkway to get to it.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird.
Anyhow, they don't have the virus there. That's just a hypothetical. Go to Annie Mae's. They'll be virus-free when we're done with this crap. They're not even a sponsor. I just gave them a read. But they're good friends.
But the Hilo is a sponsor, so this is their read.
Hilo. Hilo. Go to the Hilo. It'll be open again. We got questions from Wabash Station.
These aren't about the virus, so we're good.
They're mostly not about the virus, but isn't everything about the virus right now? I don't know. Here we go.
From TDE67, how will the basketball team try to get back to even class distribution, or do you think they just roll with no one in the current sophomore class?
Don't you feel like they need to try to get some JUCO transfers or something? Something?
I mean,
If they're going to sign more guys?
My head says that, yes. The problem is, number one, the first problem is they clearly are not very good at JUCO recruiting. I mean, that's fair. You can't deny that.
Well, they did sign a potentially good power forward who like to use medicinal products that aren't legal in the state.
Fair. Okay, I'll give them that one. Here's the real problem, is that if you're going to sign a junior college player, it's going to have to be in the 2021 class because you have one scholarship left open right now. You're all in on Donovan Williams. You're all in on a few other high school kids that are, coming out of high school right now. You can't be extra recruiting unless you have another departure. And really, there's only one potential departure left on the roster that we've talked about. So, and we'll get to that in a minute, so we don't need to talk about it yet. But you're going to have to ask for one more departure at least if you want to recruit a JUCO big, or I guess it doesn't have to be JUCO big, a JUCO anybody, or you have to miss on all these high school kids and then go pick up a junior college late. Mm-hmm. So which one do you want?
I want the best player available. I can foresee them maybe passing on, just taking whoever they need right now, and then next year, if something goes awry and some of these guys wash out and leave, that's a perfect time then to take senior transfers. There'll be nobody in that senior class. You won't be supplementing an already full senior class. It'll be zero in it. Why not go take one or two senior transfers next year to be your senior class, and then that could help a really young team.
Here's why I'm not totally in the boat that they even need to have a senior class that year. They're all in on this current freshman and then the incoming freshman. That's who the future of this program is about. And we know that there's going to be lumps. We knew there was going to be lumps this year. We know there's going to probably be more next year. Do you really need to go get somebody and just kind of Band-Aid this bullet hole? Or do you just need to let it heal?
And it doesn't take graduation to open up a scholarship. How many years of college basketball do you have to watch to realize kids leave all the time? It's not just K-State, although the numbers are pretty high here. Kids leave. You have open scholarships even without seniors. We're seeing it this year. They're signing more than what they normally would have open from just the seniors. They've already brought in 5 guys with 3 seniors. So you don't need seniors to have openings. Just proceed and get the best players available. But if there's a good JUCO, it'd be nice. A little more experience.
From Adam K63, do you see K-State going after any of the Wichita State transfers?
How about the trouble in Wichita right now? Come on down, Greg Marshall. Have a chair. Let's talk.
That's definitely a possibility. I know 5 guys transferred. I don't know who
6.
they are. 6 now?
Yep, Grant Sherfield put his name in the portal yesterday.
How good. I didn't know who Grant Sherfield was until this moment.
They've lost significant players. 2 things are happening here. One of 2 things are happening here. Actually, it can be both of them. Either, yes, he's a jackass and nobody wants to play for him, or he's going somewhere else. He's going to take this Texas job when it inevitably opens up. All I'm saying is that it might be both. We've always known that he is what he is.
Or when people said all these players are going to transfer under Frank, they meant Greg. They just got the name wrong. It was going to be Greg, not Frank. All the team was going to transfer. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Are any of them good?
Yeah.
Go then. Fine.
But they're not going to. I mean, I'm talking good. Like I'd have to pull it up here. Somebody said that. I mean, like one of them had over 20 schools contact him within an hour of putting his name in the portal.
Man, I've never been that popular in my life. I could put my name in the portal, and the portal wouldn't respond. I'm not sure the portal works anymore.
Really?
Yeah, because James Love and Nigel Shatter jammed in it at the same time.
Well,
you can't get anything else through there. Right?
James has to bring the scooter along.
Yeah, exactly. And Nigel's just stuck.
I mean, Eric Stevenson is the Wichita State transfer that he's kind of headlining it because he was a really good player. I mean, Florida, Memphis, Gonzaga, South Carolina, USC, Texas. I'm not saying K-State can't battle those. Oh, and Arizona. I'm not saying K-State can't battle some of those teams if they wanted to, but I don't.
What year is he?
Put me on the spot like that.
I knew it.
I don't know. You'd have to sit out the 2020-21 season before having 2 years of eligibility. Look, in a perfect world, it sounds good, but here's the thing. If they haven't called him by now, they're not going to get them. The transfer game is vicious. You got to get in right away. Right away. Especially without being able to recruit. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that impacts it.
It's going to be. I feel for the kids that haven't taken their visits because I don't know when or if they'll be able to take those visits, and they'll be probably picking schools blindly. I mean, it's such a mess.
I want K-State to stay focused on the high school kids right now that they've invested time into. They've traveled to go visit. Yes, go after those guys first.
Love is blind.
Oh, wow. That could be a show. Kids picking schools blindly.
They don't know who the coach is on the other side.
Right. Chris Harrison could. Who hosts Love is Blind?
Nick Lachey.
Oh, for
and
God's
his
sake.
wife.
Let's move on.
From Fervent Purple, do you think Cardi stays or goes this offseason? If Cardi wants to stay, should Bruce allow it?
It's a good question. I think he goes.
I think he goes. I think if Cardi makes a compelling argument for staying, Bruce lets him because that's in his nature. Bruce is a very, very forgiving person. He came to my office and sat down and let me interview him. He's very forgiving. He's a very kind person. He's a nice guy. I think it's best if he departs. I think it's best they part their ways, but there's no denying he's a really special athlete. I say that I don't think he's a great basketball player. He's an athlete who can do some really nice basketball things. I don't know. When he's good and engaged, he's just special. And when he's not, oh God, I can't stand watching it.
The only way I would say he should take him back, if he wants to come back, is if you get that, and it's a trust thing, is if you get his dedication from Cardi Ajada to say, I'm all in it. I'm Cardi of the first 3 years, 2 years, whatever. I'm not this year Cardi. I don't want this year Cardi back because that's not the same person. It's not the same basketball player we've seen. But if he does come back and he does kind of, for lack of a better term, shape up a little bit there, he could be a really good leader to some of these kids. He could really provide. I mean, he's been through the ups and the downs. Literally, he is seeing everything in between. So, I mean, I think he could provide good leadership if he's willing to be about the team first and not about Cardi first. But I think at this point, all things considered, the heat he caught from, me and Fran, and I think some of the actions he showed on the floor, the way his teammates responded to him on the floor, I think it's pretty clear at this point that he's just kind of ready for what's next. And if he is, more power to him.
I think he's ready to move on. Maybe he grad transfers. Maybe he just goes and plays somewhere. I think he's just ready. I think he's just done with this phase. I don't know, man. I personally wouldn't have him back, but I'm not the basketball coach at Kansas State. From just the things I've heard from people close to the program, there's no way you let him back in your locker room. You just don't. And I'm just astonished that I've seen stuff from former players who had someone just completely ruin their senior seasons defending someone doing the same. I mean, let's not forget, we reported this when it happened. Marcus Foster, when the team played in Hawaii his sophomore year, his pep talk to the team was, I'm playing for millions, you're playing for thousands. I mean, right there. It's just blowing up the locker room. You just can't have that in your locker room, and maybe Cardi sees the light and gets straightened out, but do you trust him to do it if you've been in the middle of that? I don't know. I don't know. Bruce is very forgiving, but I think in this case he's going to need a lot of assurance that it won't happen again, that everything will be good. But I wouldn't want to have a team vote if I was Cardi.
No.
From K-Ned, what options does Cardi have that is better for him long-term than major college basketball?
Overseas.
Like that guy can go play somewhere and make a living.
Frankly, overseas professional basketball is not as much of a slam as we once thought it was.
No.
Jacob Pullen has made a great living playing basketball overseas.
Yeah, you can make a lot of money doing this for a lot of years. I mean, Jeremiah Massey just gave up playing a couple years ago. He was 93 years old. People don't realize that. He was really old.
Purvis Pasco played too.
Yeah, Purvis Pasco, there was less wear and tear on his body without the dribbling.
Look, think of all the... Jeez, it didn't hit me for a second. Think of all the good college basketball players that have come through K-State, since Bob Huggins got here. The guards, the Denny Clementes, the Jacob Pullens, a lot of these guys, they couldn't make it in the NBA, and they had amazing 4-year college basketball careers. Cardi Ajada has not. He's not even made an All-Big 12 team, and he doesn't have natural point guard skills. He's a great athlete you can teach some things to, but he's not a natural point guard. His size as a point guard in the NBA, I don't even think he has the game to make it in the G League. And frankly, playing overseas is better than playing in the G League. It really is. Unless like Rod, I have a future in the NBA.
Or Dean Wade. Dean Wade's on the cusp of making the NBA because he's so dominant in the G League. He's finally asserting himself as a player that we never fully saw at Kansas State. That's a good move.
But I don't want to see Cardi sit in the G League, make $25,000 a year or whatever they pay players. I don't even know.
Yeah, the two-ways are pretty good.
And, two-ways are tough to come by, though.
But, yeah, he won't get one of them.
He's not going to get a two-way, so... I'd rather see him go overseas if that's what's next. I don't think he's going to grad transfer, I guess. I never addressed that. I don't really see him grad transferring anywhere.
Unless he feels like one more year in a different system will greatly help him.
Yeah. Go overseas, make your money, man. Start your life, come back when you're ready.
Just don't go to the Italian League.
Yeah, really risky to go overseas right now, actually.
Don't do that.
From On Your Mark, Set, Spin, it looks like Bruce is now recruiting 4 players versus 2 prior for the final one, maybe 2 open scholarships. What does this say about Cardi's and Donovan's prospects?
You're padding your safety cushion, I guess.
Yeah, you can't just put all your eggs in a basket where there's a lot of people after players.
If there's ever a time for Bruce Weber to do what Bruce Weber does, go out and cast 1 million scholarship offers at once, it's right now.
Yeah.
He was in what I believe was great position to really do some damage in the recruitment of Donovan Williams because he could get him on campus for another official visit. You can ball out on an official visit and treat a kid like a king. Now things are very weird. They're not going to be able to recruit. They can't bring him in. And frankly, if I'm a high school kid and it's March 17th like it is today and I haven't made my college decision, I'm starting to get antsy.
I agree.
And I'm not going to be able to take a visit until April. I got graduation. I got to start getting to campus so I can start lifting with the team. I mean, there's a lot of – I think we're going to see a decision come sooner than we expected on Donovan Williams. And so in K-State's in a rough place there. They got to start putting out some offers. So go cast your net. Go make sure you have a backup plan because there's no guarantee you're going to get him. Not even close.
No, he's in demand. But once recruiting opens back up, once they say, yeah, under these conditions you can recruit, he can drive down and make his official. It's kind of handy if you don't know he's from Lincoln. So, not Kansas. He'd be a big star if he's in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Who was it? What Shaylin Martin, old K-State women's basketball player. She used to go to Teskett.
Well, that was a dynamite drop.
And Teskett high school girls basketball lost like a lot of games in a row, like for many years. I think they almost hit 100.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So she wasn't going to make it there.
Not that I ever needed to remember that.
From Fervent Purple, what are some reasons to believe we will still have a better overall offense this season under Coach Messingham?
Like I forgot to put in there that we were switching to football. My bad.
We're switching to football now.
The familiarity.
Yeah.
I don't think we fully grasp how tough it would be to learn a playbook in 9 months.
Yeah. Think of all the players that'll be back that were in the system last year. Even if they weren't playing a lot or at all, they were in the system. And before that, no one had been in the system. This time last year, they were just starting to learn the system for the most part. Some off-season learning. They had the playbooks. But that's different. They're just going to be better. Now, I'm worried about the offensive line. If you're completely depleted in any area of your team, not having spring football makes it a challenge. And particularly, the only school that would really be able to practice offensive line drills in this current environment would have been the old Texas Tech team, in which they had 6-foot distancing between all of their players on the line. Now you got to stand next to someone, and who knows where they've been.
I think if you just have another year, you're watching film. All you can do right now is watch film and study the playbook day in and day out. You can't even hardly lift. I don't know if they've closed off veneer to players or not, but
I'm not sure.
I gotta imagine that would probably be coming if it hasn't. And so you're in a great position right now to further master the mental side of this game. Go do it.
Last question of the podcast from D. Brimmer 73. Are we likely to go after the Oklahoma running back Trey Sermon that just put his name in the portal?
Number one, no. I don't think they're going to try to go after him. Number two, they don't have a prayer.
No, he's going to. They're talking about Ohio State.
Yeah.
He's not leaving Oklahoma to come to Kansas State, folks. It's intriguing that he's leaving Oklahoma.
I was floored by that.
I am too. He's really good. It'd be great, but I think they feel really good about their young backs. And bringing in another grad transfer in that spot just doesn't seem like it would be a right use of their limited scholarships. They probably want to bring in another offensive lineman. They're probably another defensive player, not necessarily a linebacker. There's some positions over there.
It's time to start building the way Chris Kleiman likes to build.
Right.
He wants to recruit high school players. It's time to start recruiting high school players and building this thing.
Right. The Bison way.
Besides, do you really want somebody who probably has Boomer Sooner as their ringtone walk around veneer?
Probably has a OU tattoo on his calf.
Yeah. I don't want that.
And that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Especially if he's upside down. When after being tackled, it's like a upside down U and an O.
No.
No, it's confusing. I reached on that one.
Yeah, you did.
That's all right. Nobody made it to this point of the podcast, so I'm fine.
I think we reached on this podcast.
I can't believe we did a whole podcast with what we had to work while being in separate booths, totally isolated from each other. It's like when you make a record, the drummer's in one area and the singer's in one area and the guitarist. That's what we're doing right now.
It'd be fun.
You would just be happy not to be in here with us at all. You don't like us. That's it for the podcast.
You've been listening to the Power Cat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Power Cat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
With BlueLink Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading BlueLink Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.